Hey guys, we're back. Welcome back to the Nurse Bros podcast.
Welcome back. It's been a while.
It has. It's been a hectic time with holidays and the election and all that nonsense, which we'll get to in a moment. How you
You're
been?
I've been good. You're like a new man. You lost 30 pounds,
Lost my hair,
cut your hair,
lost my beard.
shaved your beard. What happened?
Well, I'm leaving the inauguration now. Me and Bernard were a little chilly, so we're coming back to Florida.
I liked his mittens. Those were quite nice.
I know they were. I learned that mittens and gloves completely different. The whole goal of the mittens, you can't really use your fingers, but body heat, so you keep your fingers together. So interesting. I don't know. Gloves, you can't do that. They don't work as effective.
I guess that's why mittens are restraints.
Oh, true. That is true in the hospital. Yikes. Well, we have a lot to
What?
lot to talk about.
Oh yeah, it's been a busy time while we've been MIA.
Yeah, so first we wanted to mention about the Georgia Senate race. That was very interesting. I don't want to say it was unexpected, but I guess it kind of was in a sense. You
Yeah, it
don't
was. I mean, just based off how the election went in November, it was hard to go in with super high hopes considering how poorly Democrats did in November. So it was for me. I don't think you could anticipate either way how it was going to go.
Yeah, it was and they actually the two Senate candidates expanded their majority past what Biden did. Biden won by 12K and they I think won one of them won by about 35,000, 40,000, something like that, and the other one
Mhm.
was 20,000 upwards. There it was more than Biden, so they expanded their lead, and in a runoff a month after the election, or 2 months after the election, sorry, was definitely pretty impressive, especially when people are winding down from especially this tumultuous election season.
Oh yeah, for sure. It was interesting too. It was very similar. The both senators, Democratic senators, had like a nice lead initially. Then it dropped as like the rural votes were being counted. It was very similar to a lot of November elections. Um, just on very much on the edge of your seat as it was being counted.
So that means Democrats now have a majority because of the Kamala Harris tiebreaker.
Mhm.
So hopefully they can get some things done. It would be nice without hopefully any obstruction.
I think the Democratic Party has to get stuff done now, or as we were talking like privately, it's just going to be a repeat of 2012.
Yeah, 2010. I mean, even back in the 90s, Bill Clinton won in 92. Democrats had everything. They really didn't do much. And then in 1994, they lost everything. So his next 6 years were just useless, essentially. And then
Mhm.
Obama won in 28. He had all three houses. And then 2010 came, they lost the majority. And then in 2012, they lost even more. And then in 2014, they lost everything. And then it was just the next couple of years were just useless.
Right.
So
Which we'll get to, but I mean, Biden's kind of hitting the ground running, at least as of this is the day after inauguration that we're recording. So, as of yesterday, the day of inauguration, he's definitely gotten started. But
he's got quite a bit to fix just on the executive order and then just disastrous Trump administration policies that he needs to fix those first, get his guys appointed. In the meantime, the Senate really needs to split time, do the appointees, but they really got to get things done. There are things already in the Senate that were not voted on previously that can be voted on from the House that they need to get through and help some people out because they're every day we go by, there's more and more people struggling. We have a vaccine that works, that is amazingly effective, and we can't get it to anyone. And this is the problem with conservative logic is, oh, punt it to the states. Well, and then the states just punt it to local government. You can't expect local governments and county commissioners to bear the burden and mayors bear the burden of a mass national vaccination campaign. It has to be done at the
Right.
federal government, which
Yes.
thankfully Joe Biden's already kicking that off. So
What's interesting is there was an article this morning touching on how Biden administration is realizing there was no plan. I mean, we knew, but now that they're at the reins, there was no actual plan from Trump for distribution of this vaccine. I agree with you completely. This is something that needs a federal level rollout if we're going to get this done effectively. I mean, it's nearly the end of January at this point, and our vaccination rates are abysmal compared to where they should be.
and
And
cases are still going up.
mhm.
I just saw this morning. It said in less than a month, another 100,000 people are expected to be dead, and I don't see the need for that. Well, we don't see a need for any useless death, but why, when we have a vaccine, we just can't get it to anybody, and people are still going to die?
Mhm.
Obviously, we just have the holidays and everything, and people are we've known for months now, people are just over it.
Right.
But we have this vaccine. The light is at the end of the tunnel. Say what you want about people, but this also was handled so poorly. They spent so much time and effort, money to Operation Warp Speed to get this vaccine made, and now they can't even put it into people's arms. So,
Mhm. It's it's going to be, there's two strategies about it now. It seems like, and Trump was kind of differing to keep the second dose in reserve and make sure that people who get the first dose can get the second dose, whereas Biden's pushing more towards just get the first dose out to as many people and then worry about the second
I,
later.
I yeah, I'm, and you can see the values of both sides, but I'm of the mindset right now. Think about it: we have zero protection.
Hmm.
If we can get 100 million people vaccinated with one dose, even if they're 50%, that is that cuts down on your transmission by that much, and hopefully then we start to get the second doses. And again, about the states, the states taking the reins on this. Florida is a perfect example. There are already 45,000 people that haven't shown up for their second shot, and you can't tell me in 2021 now that the government can't have a system to keep these people in a database, to come back, to alert these people, to tell them where to go, to have a strategy, to have anything. There's nothing. So it's just been a very abysmal rollout, to say the least.
Hmm. Coupled also with the just general population, a lot of people don't like this vaccine.
Yeah,
Rushed.
which we'll talk. We should talk about in another episode, because you
Oh
and
yeah.
I have gotten it. We're fine. We're getting our second one very soon, and we're still not doing anything different. It's just another line of protection for us, and makes us feel a
Hmm.
lot more comfortable going to work every day, and increases safety and increases the odds we just get over this thing.
Right. So, vaccine rolls out, Trump's still in power, and all we hear about for months is the stolen election and your democracy doesn't count, your vote didn't count. Kind of culminates in so you have to talk about it. The freaking storming of the Capitol. That was like surreal.
I was home,
As was
and
I.
uh, I was home. I'm watching CNN because I know he was having his little speech, and I just remember slowly, gradually, people marching closer and closer, and then the next thing you know, there are literally people scaling, people scaling the Capitol building walls, hanging disgusting MAGA flags on our Capitol building, vandalizing. Uh, it was one of the most disgraceful acts that you think you would ever see in a free democracy in a country like the United States of America. This, as much as they always preach, oh, don't listen to the liberals, we're going to be a third world country. That was third world country stuff right there. That's what they
Yeah.
do in Venezuela. That
Mm,
that
yeah.
that they want to compare Venezuela to socialism. That is what they do. What these people did is what they do in authoritarian dictator countries with no regard for fact, truth, or anything. It was absolutely disgusting. It was an embarrassment, and that day will go down in American history forever. It was absolutely abhorrent.
And yeah, a few things on that. I mean, it was without a shadow of a doubt incited by former President Trump at this point. There's no question about that. There was he can't be. It's not ambiguous. We know for a fact it was incited. This is not an opinion. This is not oh those liberals blaming Trump. It was incited by.
I mean, and not even just him. You got Giuliani saying
Oh
trial
yes.
by combat, and these the new congressman. I guess he's sworn in now. The congressman who took over Mark Meadows' seat in North Carolina, the young 25-year-old.
Oh yes.
He's saying in front of his supporters to call members of Congress, and it's okay to threaten them.
Mm.
What country are we living in? I mean, Republican or Democrat Congress people or senators, like, they should never have their lives threatened. Just because you disagree doesn't mean you threaten someone.
Mm-hmm. It's the twisting of the news over the past 4+ years. Honestly, not just the past 4 years. It's been growing since ages ago, since the Tea Party even. I mean, you live in that bubble of news, and that's all you can consume, and that's all you think about. It's a matter of time, and this is the culmination of that. This now we have definitive. You can point to the Capitol building storming is the culmination of years of propaganda. I mean, that's at the end of the day, that's what it is.
And in a sense, I mean, you and I know history, and there's always been schisms between people. Obviously, not on this scale. This is unlike anything we've seen before. And the difference is in early forms of government in 1790 and 1800, everything was by newspaper. So whether there were factions, only a small amount of people saw these things. Now with the age of the internet, everything's sent all across the world at the click of a button, and you have false information that just gets spread. And unfortunately, big tech doesn't seem to want to do anything about it.
Which we'll touch on, but
yeah, we'll get to that. But one thing that irked me is the people who obviously were there. This disgusting act. I mean, now that they're arresting most of these people, which is great, but the sheer fact that even a lot of them were saying, "Oh, we were there to kidnap and assassinate Nancy Pelosi," and where are we living? What is this? And just the fact to see these disgusting people, and then you have the people at home who applauded this and said, "Oh, they were asking for it. This was a long time coming." And for what?
yeah, for what?
For what? We had an election. Trump lost by a lot. I mean, it wasn't even close. It's over.
The last number I saw, which double check, but the last number I saw was about 64% of Republicans that answered this questionnaire still believed the election was stolen. 64%. Where this was in January. That's, I mean, you have that much disinformation spread throughout a population. So it's ridiculous. This is what happens, and I mean that's why people say what you're hearing, Tyler, is because they believe their vote was stolen from them.
Yeah,
but that doesn't mean you storm the Capitol building and kidnap Nancy Pelosi. That doesn't solve anything. That's just the radicalization of the far right.
And you have, yeah, and it's becoming more and more normalized. And you have senators who incited this as well. And even after this, even after all this, when the Senate reconvened, you still had Ted Cruz of Texas and Josh Hawley of Missouri object to the next state, even after all this. So instead of getting this done, they had to go back to chambers, debate for 2 hours to come back. They knew it wasn't going to get overturned. It's just sheer principle, even after all of that. And there were a few members of the Senate and of Congress who decided not to object as planned because of what had happened. And then the main thing is all we hear these Blue Lives Matter people. Where were they? where there was a man beating a cop with a United States
Correct.
flag and pole. Where are the Blue Lives Matter people? Where are the cop lovers now? You know, the thin blue line as you beat a police officer, throw fire hydrants at their heads. People died.
I feel like that the Blue Lives Matter thing is just the alternative talking point to Black Lives Matter. But is it an actual, like, to what level do they hold it? Is it just, oh, Blue Lives Matter, but that's, and they put a bumper sticker and that's their support. But when the time actually comes, where was the support for the cops here? You hit it right on the head. Does it really matter to them?
Clearly not. And it's all led to Trump was the first president ever to be impeached twice. This time he actually had bipartisan, or the impeachment had bipartisan support,
Mm-hmm.
and Republicans actually voted to impeach him. Moving forward, we'll see what the Senate does.
Right.
It's unfortunate the timing because he is gone. So there are positives and negatives to both.
Mm-hmm.
But
I feel, I was watching the Biden press conference last night, and there was a few questions about to what level is the Biden administration going to pursue, the Trump investigation and all that, and should they even be doing that if it's divisive? And I feel like that's the wrong, like that line of questioning. Is it divisive to do that? Is wrong? Is what happened? Is what Trump did wrong? If yes, then that needs to be pursued. Not to just drop it because it's divisive, but it's more, there was talk of by Trump of draining the swamp. We knew that was BS. We could have predicted that was BS going into his presidency, and it was. But when you have these politicians and these people in power doing illegal actions, if they get away with it, where's what's stopping that from happening in the future? And think about this. Just think about how seemingly incompetent Trump was. Whether that's a ruse, if you ask QAnon, Trump's the most brilliant man ever. Whether that's a ruse that Trump is incompetent or he actually is, he still got away with so much and just did so many things. Now put someone who is actually competent in that position, who has authoritative or dictatorship like wants, it's going to be disastrous. I mean, it really is. This shows how fragile our democracy is as well.
yeah, for me, sheer for precedence. I mean, you cannot do this. You cannot incite violence, and you cannot call harm to elected official anybody. And free speech doesn't protect that either. So I know that because we'll mention as Trump gets banned off Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and a few of those other platforms, but so the free speech comes out, which I'm all for free speech. I get it. I get it's a dangerous thing to choose what people can and cannot say. But this is not, this is like constitutional law stuff. It clearly states if your speech is to incite violence and mob like violence, you cannot, that is not protected by the First Amendment. And
Mhm.
all, to me, impeachment should be the bare minimum. A conviction in the Senate should be the bare minimum. These people should be charged, just like the people who are storming the Capitol
I
are
agree.
being charged.
I agree.
These people, these Congress people, should not be protected. Ted Cruz should not be protected. He knew what he was doing. Josh Hawley knew what he was doing as he threw a fist up to the protesters as he walked by. He knew exactly what he was doing. And
Mhm.
that's the issue. They're going to get off free. And what you said, imagine if Josh Hawley, a law school grad, imagine if he was the president and someone with half a brain had authoritarian tendencies and was
Mhm.
able to carry this out.
Mhm.
We'd probably be sitting in a much different spot right now.
There would be a second inauguration, like just run parallel if Trump was of much higher caliber, we'd have a second Trump presidency without a shadow of doubt. Like, I feel like that's how close. Of course, in the end, Biden's president now, but I feel
Wasn't
like
easy.
no, it was way more threatened than it needed to be. Just off disinformation, just off parroting incorrect facts on Trump on Twitter. Like, it was very bare bones what he did, but it worked. It nearly worked.
Yeah, it's crazy just talking about it because you don't think you'd ever see that kind of stuff. And we like to sit here and think, oh, we're a democracy. I mean, well, we use the term democracy, but there are, with the exception of a select few, the majority of countries are democracies now. We're a free country. There are 85% of countries, especially all the major industrialized ones, are free countries, with the exception of China and a few of those. But cut me this crap that, oh, America is a free country. You know, you maybe 100 years ago you could say that, but you can't anymore. Things have evolved, times have changed. And I mean, what's your opinion on the Twitter ban and all that?
Uh that's I don't know if that's really a black or white answer. I think you have to deplatform people that are inciting violence at the level that Trump was. I think that's 100% a fair action of what they did. Um, at the same time, it's tricky because all these people feel, oh, my guy's been prosecuted. It again galvanizes his supporters, his devout supporters who followed him through all this fire. Now they're only more fired up. But I think that's going to be a separate issue, is dealing with the deprogramming of the radical far right Trump devout followers. That's going to be a much harder task to accomplish. In regards to Twitter, I think it was a fair ban. I think it was a long time coming. It's interesting that it happened once. You know, not to be conspiratorial, but it's interesting that it happened once Democrats had power in both Senate and House, and an incoming Democratic president. Because I feel like they could have done this ages ago, and the fact they did,
years ago.
the fact they didn't until just recently, it says a lot. But
before we move on to our next topic of the inauguration, I want to make note to all these people in the last couple days or last 2 weeks since this all happened. All these people who jump ship and resign from the administration don't get a free pass, because this is who he was. This is who he's always been. Even before he became a presidential candidate, this is always who he's been. And they knew that. And they didn't care because they got their justices. They got richer. They got their tax cuts. They gutted the government, which was their whole plan. They got what they wanted at the extent of nothing. What was leaving 12 days before? What is that going to save your soul or something? You're complicit. All these people who took jobs with him are equally complicit. They knew exactly what they were getting, and it won't be forgotten.
right, I 100% agree. It's it's the attempt to distance themselves from that train wreck.
In the 11th hour, it doesn't work.
Not at all. Not at all. One thing I want to touch on before we move on. What I find interesting as well is these Capitol insurrectionists that stormed the Capitol for their guy and are now facing charges or in prison. I imagine they were expecting a Trump pardon, and I wonder how much it stings that Lil Wayne got a pardon, but Mr. Goat Outfit, I don't know his name.
Don't worry, bro. That it was Antifa, bro.
Yeah.
It wasn't QAnon. It was actually just paid by George Soros, Antifa super soldiers.
Yeah.
Don't worry. That's why he didn't pardon them, bro. They're better off in prison.
Yeah, Trump knew the truth. He knew that he knew who was who.
As you literally find these people they're the QAnon shamans that are on the website and on alt-right white supremacy web pages, and people want to post on Facebook that it was Q. I'm like, or it was Antifa, and Q sought them out with Trump. And are you give me a fucking break? It's absolutely just the world we're living in, and we're going to kind of talk about we have to live with these people. So, go ahead.
About living with these people, I think one hope that maybe we can glean from this administration is media education. I almost feel like that's going to be have to, and I don't see it, but I feel like it has to start coming out of this, is teaching our kids in school and even adults about the media and how to discern fake news. And it has to become a topic that comes into play now. And I think that's only like, I don't know if you're going to deprogram a Trumpist, maybe over time, like 20-30 years, but I think we have to look forward and look at like their kids and our kids, and just how can we prevent this from happening, because this truly was just by the media. Trump almost got what he wanted. I feel like it was a lot closer than it seems.
No, I was saying I didn't think he was going to leave. I was saying it for the past year. I didn't think he was going to leave. I'm more surprised everything went well yesterday at the inauguration than you know. I was expecting something totally different. So I'm very happy. And that brings us now. It's January 21st. We're recording this. Joe Biden's first full day.
The ceremony was fine. I never take much weight in that, but it went well. No one stormed it. So
he's definitely sticking with this unity message. His speech was good. It was fine. It was a great speech, but also, like we've been saying, kind of brings us full circle here, is can you find unity with insurrectionists and seditionists who think they can just storm the Capitol and kill government officials, and because their leader who they've never met before, Q, tells them to, or Trump, or I don't know how that faction goes away.
The speech to me was fine. It was inoffensive, and trying to look at it from neutral ground, I don't know if you could I don't know how you could find fault in it. If I say that, it wasn't, he did mention Trump, so I feel like a Trump speech would have been like, those liberals. I don't have to feel like that. I know it would have been. I know he would have been inciting, like saying we're going to get stuff done, whether the other side cooperates or not. Biden, on the other hand, took a more middle ground approach, and it was great. It was fine. But again, as we've been saying, I don't know if that other side is going to want to find that unity. We'll see.
Well, I think you'll have a few on certain issues. There will be compromises on certain big issues, I'm sure, and I'm fine with that. But like we were talking about earlier, they have to understand that in order to not lose everything in 2022, we need big change now. And that only requires 50+1 votes. You have those votes. There are a few moderate Democrats that you will have to compromise with in the Senate. That's fine. Compromise with them. I'd rather compromise with a conservative Democrat than an alt-right conservative Republican in Ted Cruz. You have the votes. And I heard something interesting. If you have the support of your party, good. If you pass things, you'll get the support of the people. When the support of the people is behind the president and say they're favoring things 60+%, the Republicans will follow, at least those who actually care about the government and the world and care about other human beings.
Right.
So just get stuff done, because as a Democrat, we've lived through this too many times. We get everything and we never get everything. It's very far and few in between. And in the times we do, we're too busy all right, let's compromise with Mitch McConnell and compromise with the Republicans. And like you said, they've never said that when they take office, they never said, oh yeah, we're trying to work with the other side to get things done. And they don't. They just jam whatever they want through.
Right.
So sorry, they've set the precedent. Democrats need to do the same thing. And you can start off, you have a perfect opportunity. Vaccinate people, put money in people's pockets, and let these forgotten Trump people who did vote for Obama twice and then voted for Trump twice. I think they're just really hurting and they're desperate, and they're looking for any change. People aren't as optimistic as me. I try to find faith in humanity. I understand that we all have issues. So I'm going to try to be an optimist here. I think they're just hurting. They're misguided. You don't go from voting for Barack Obama twice to then supporting Donald Trump twice without something really bad in your life happening,
Right.
or being in a real desperate place. So help these people, put money in their pockets, give them health care.
I feel like
help their
that.
kids go to school.
I feel like that alone, just putting money in people's pockets, is going to win a lot of points, especially for those who aren't politically inclined and don't really follow what's going on. When they start getting money, as to me, I'm not as optimistic as you. I think people are a lot more driven by other motives, but money in pockets definitely helps. Anyways,
And I know just off of the student loan thing, waiving the canceling student loan debt has become a major push by Democrats. And I can guarantee you, of all the people that have student loans, if you take care of that, or at least take care of a portion of that for people, you will guarantee probably 70% of those people will vote for you in 4 years. Like, they'll say, wow, this party understood that I'm drowning in debt. I can't contribute to the economy. I can't buy a house. I can't buy a car. I'm screwed. I'm paying $500 a month in student loans, and my salary doesn't even make that. But they help me. And in 2 years, you can expand your majorities, and then in 4 years, keep the presidency. It's not that hard, and they have so many issues that are so popular among American people. Like Medicare for all, 65% popularity, and it's growing among Republicans as well. People are tired with this bureaucratic healthcare system that costs more, and it sucks. Frankly,
right.
everything sucks. And it's like, we have this option, and maybe as America, we can make it better. Who knows? We'll put our American twist on it. We'll see. But let's work on that and help people. That's the main thing.
Yeah,
And
100%.
without that, it's just going to be, like you said, we're going to just pave the way for a smarter authoritarian Trump to come in there, and then we're really going to be screwed.
I feel like if what you're saying doesn't get done for whatever reason, again, the sleepy Democrats, Sleepy Joe, if they don't hit the ground running, Trump has paved the way for a more authoritarian Republican or whoever. I say that it really doesn't have whoever to just come in and kind of clean up after the fact. So
yeah, and I think Democrat, so far, like, staying on the positive message, I think Joe Biden has done a great. I mean, he had his little ceremony yesterday, but he already got to work. That's major. I think Democrats will be wise to listen to a Bernie Sanders, considering he's saying, we're both saying the same thing. Like, we need bold change. Like, we have to, we have to get things done ASAP. Until the next election cycle, we basically have a year and a half. So got a year and a half to get rid of the pandemic and help people not be on the street and get their jobs back. So that's it's a tall order, but hopefully we can do it.
We'll see. I don't have much more to. It's too early to say how it's looking.
But I'm playing the optimist here.
Yeah, it's fair. It's I am cautiously optimistic. I feel like I've been cautiously optimistic the past few months since the election to the Georgia election to.
True. Which before we talk about our last topic, our last little thing, I just want to mention the historics of yesterday. John Ossoff is the youngest guy in the Senate since Joe Biden at 33 years old. He's the first Jewish senator from Georgia. Reverend Warnock is the first black senator from Georgia, and he's one of only, I think, he's the second black senator from the South, which is amazing. Kamala Harris is the first woman and woman of color to be vice president. Chuck Schumer even is the first Jewish majority or Senate majority leader. I mean, a lot of historic things happen. So hopefully we can
oldest president.
Yeah, and hopefully we can, put this behind us and move forward. I say that lightly because I know there's a lot of damage control to be done, and obviously Trump's not going anywhere. And lucky us, with our luck, he'll run for governor of Florida in 2 years, and then we'll be stuck with him and live in a secession state, and we'll just be on an island of our own. So,
did you see his farewell speech before he came down to Florida?
I listened to it on and off. I know he said we'll be back soon.
Yeah,
or something, and have a good life. We'll be back soon.
Have a good life. That'll be interesting.
Yeah, and the last thing we're gonna talk about is he left.
I want to know what's in the letter.
It's been pretty standard for the previous president to leave a letter for the incoming one.
Written in Sharpie.
Obama left one for Trump, and shockingly, Trump left one for Biden. And we were both thinking it was going to be just horrible. Biden said it was a very generous letter. I really want to know if it's very generous. Odds are Trump probably didn't write it, because I don't think he can write that many words. But
it's going to be tremendous.
Yeah. I really just want to know what was in it, and hopefully in time we will find out. I'm sure we will. Nothing seems to stay quiet in Washington for very long. So
for whatever it's worth, Trump can't show the image of being welcoming. So if he's going to have any welcoming words, he'll put it in the letter. He can't have his devout
letter.
Yeah, he can't have his supporters seeing him be weak. So
so we're back and ready to go in the new year. We hope everybody's staying safe, and everyone just calm down. Whether we agree or disagree, just let's settle down here. Let's move on. Give the president a chance.
Spoken like a true politician.
Let's see what we can do and go from there. I promise you, things I still believe in. I'm very progressive. I already disagree with some of the things the Biden administration is going to do or not going to do, but I understand in order to get things done, sometimes you have to compromise, and anything we can get done is better than what we've had or lack thereof. So let's just use this as an opportunity to move forward and go from there.
100%.
So thank you guys again for all the support. Be sure to like, share, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just search the Nurse Bros, and be sure to check out our Facebook page for updates moving forward at facebook.com/the Nurse Bros.
And we're also on Spotify, Apple, and pretty much anywhere you can listen to podcasts. Just search the Nurse Bros and you should see us there. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, we'll see you guys soon. Thank you again.
Bye.